Hi, Sparkles, and welcome back to Intuitive Wisdom. This is episode 234. What if the very thing you've been resisting is actually the doorway to your next level? Today's conversation is a powerful reminder that discomfort isn't something to avoid. It's something to listen to. Because what if the tension, that hesitation, and that inner stop sign isn't here to block you, but to guide you? I'm joined by the incredible Amy Wilkinson, soul embodiment mentor, intuitive guide, and manifestation teacher. With over 20 years in the world of personal growth and spiritual leadership, Amy helps purpose-driven women reconnect their truth, awaken their intuition, and embody the frequency of abundance and divine co-creation. In this episode, we explore how intuition often speaks through sensation, sometimes even discomfort, and how resistance isn't something to push through, but something to meet. We talk about how to pause, ground into the body, and reframe what feels like fear into something deeply supportive and transformative. Amy and I also did a podcast swap, so you can catch me over on her show, The Abundance Club, too. So if you've been feeling stuck, uncertain, or like something inside you is holding you back, this episode is going to feel like a deep exhale and a powerful reframe. Here we go. Welcome to Intuitive Wisdom, a space where insight meets energy and intuition leads the way. I'm K. Margaret Solorio, author, Angel Reiki Master, biotech graduate, and a guide for those seeking alignment in their home and life. Whether you're navigating change, clearing emotional clutter, or simply craving clarity, Intuitive Wisdom invites you to slow down, tune in, and rise into your authentic self. New episodes weekly. Come home to your own knowing. Hi, Sparkles. Before we get into today's episode, I have a few beautiful ways to support you on your journey right now. First, I created a free 3-day experience to help you gently reset your space and your energy. It's called the Spring Energy Refresh. This isn't about perfection or deep cleaning your entire house. It's about clearing stagnant energy, inviting lightness back in, and reconnecting your space to the natural rhythm of spring. Inside, you'll get simple guided checklists, reflection prompts, and grounding rituals. Just 3 days, and by the end, your home will feel lighter, and so will you. You can download it for free at deliciousease.com/spring. And if you're ready for deeper support, I offer home frequency reset sessions where I help clear the energy in your home so that your space feels calm, supportive, and aligned again. Our homes hold onto the emotional residue of everything we experience: stress, transitions, and even old patterns. And over time, that can feel heavy. This work gently clears that buildup so your home can truly support you. You can learn more and book a session at deliciousease.com/services. Also, if you're looking to go even deeper into this work, my book, Make Ease Your Vibe, is available now on Amazon in paperback and Kindle versions. It's filled with practical tools to help you shift your mindset, your energy, and your time, your relationship with time in a way that helps you feel more intuitive and supported. And when you purchase your copy, you'll also get access to exclusive chapter bonuses by going to deliciousease.com and entering your information. And finally, I'm so excited to share that Intuitive Wisdom now has listener support open. If this podcast has supported you in any way, you can give back with a monthly donation starting at just $3 a month. As a thank you, you'll receive a shout out on our monthly Insights episode, a custom blessing spoken in your name, and a healing energy intentionally sent your way. It's a beautiful exchange of energy, and it truly helps these conversations flowing. You can become a supporter through the link in the show notes. Thank you for being here, for your presence, and for the energy you bring into this space. Now, let's get to today's episode. Amy, welcome again. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm delighted to be here. It's a beautiful way to start my day here in Australia.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, on this podcast, you may know, we like to explore what it means to live in alignment with your energy. So how trusting your intuitive wisdom can transform your inner and your outer world. And I ask all my guests this first question. I was curious for you if you could share a time when your intuition nudged you into doing something unexpected.
Yeah, I mean, so many. I can think of so many times in my life. I've been doing this work for a while, but I'll share more recently. This was probably in the last few years, and it feels like the biggest one. Possibly so far. I think when you're using your intuition when you're younger and it's just you and you're kind of taking these leaps, it seems a little bit easier. But all of a sudden, when you've got a family involved and you're having to make those decisions for everyone based off your intuition, it can feel a little bit scarier. So for me, I have a background of a yoga teacher and I had yoga studios in the city where I am, and we had a number of studios, and I suddenly had this very strong feeling that it was time for us to leave where we were in the city and to relocate to the beach town, which is a few hours up the coast, leave the city and sell the business and basically take a huge leap and leave everything. And it's interesting and I teach about intuition, and it's interesting the way that intuition will show up, because often we can sense the intuition, or I will say, like, whether this is guidance that you feel from your soul, from the divine, from your angels, it really doesn't matter, but it can show up in the way of, inspired ideas and that kind of guidance, but it can also show up in the way of discomfort and just feeling this kind of feeling beneath it that there's something else here for me. I don't know what that is, because often we're not shown what that is. We're just shown in this moment, do this. And so it was a quiet murmuring that I could feel that led to a little bit more of this kind of feeling of discomfort that something needs to happen here. So for us, that was taking a really big leap and putting our house on the market and selling it and packing up our life in the city, and then going on to sell our business, sell everything pretty much, and not knowing what was going to be on the other side of that. And I've since, over these last couple of years, moved into doing what I've probably been doing for 15 years, which is teaching spirituality, but I've been using the body in a way as a prop. I've been kind of gently weaving through the wisdom in my yoga classes and in the teacher trainings and so forth that I ran. And now it's really, in a bigger way, coming out of the spiritual closet, I guess, and doing it more without the brand, without the body as a prop, and doing it more one-to-one like this, and starting the podcast was a big part of that as well. So there's continual little leaps that I've been doing, or big leaps, and not knowing when the net was going to appear, not knowing what the landing was going to be like, but always beneath all of that, just having which I've established over time, a really deeper trust that everything here is for me. So this guidance is for me, and I can trust in that, which I've learned to develop more over the time. So that's probably been the biggest one lately.
That is huge. I did that, like you said, when you're single, it's easier. I did it before I met my husband and had my family. I moved across the United States, which is a good ways, and left everything and just started over in a new industry and said, we'll see what happens. But it was really difficult. That first year, it was awful. But now I've been here for 14 years and I have a husband and kids, and couldn't imagine it otherwise. So leaps of faith can really turn out, but I can't imagine not only working through that for yourself, but also leading your family through that and everyone else's emotions and resistance and everything too.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of emotions to manage, particularly with my daughter, preteen daughter, who was saying this was the worst decision ever and I was ruining her life. And, and you kind of, holding those
from her perspective, she probably just couldn't imagine otherwise. So It was just the absence of. That makes a lot of sense.
Change is scary. Change can be scary.
Yeah, and that's actually part of what I wanted to talk to you about today. How do you help your clients release that inner resistance? I know it comes up in so many different, it's come up a lot in my life, but also in my work, I help my clients clear stuck energy in their homes and letting go. Often there's some process of letting go. There's resistance that comes up. So I'm curious how you help others release that inner resistance.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, I think, first of all, it's to meet it. I think we can tend to want to not go there and to bypass it, particularly the discomfort, and then a lot of discomfort that comes with resistance. So it's discharging that by meeting it, right? Like taking a pause when you notice that, when you notice maybe it's a story, maybe it's a feeling of fear in your body. Like resistance can show up in many ways. And the thing that I've learned about resistance is it's not here to derail you. It's here to keep you safe, but we can shift our relationship with it and see that it's only showing up because I'm here on the precipice of expansion, because I'm being called towards something by my soul. And there's that fear aspect of me that's saying this is unsafe because it's unfamiliar, like we've just spoken about change. So taking a pause and meeting that resistance, a lot of my work is around embodiment. So there's no getting over it, overcoming it, like all of those kind of things. It's like, let's meet it, because often when we meet it, we see that it's a story. It's just an illusion. We can even do the work on it. And, you can even let yourself drop into that feeling. Maybe it's a feeling in your body. Meet it, let it have you. And quite often then we'll uncover that maybe there is a belief or a story there that is simply not true. And when you do this, one of the things that I do is reframe it. Say, okay, if this is showing up, I know that this is for me, because everything is for me. None of this is to punish me, right? Life is happening for me. So I can then see this as a gift. And that's part of the process that I do. I go, ask the question, what if this is a gift? What if this isn't here to throw me off track? What if this is actually here for me, and I can transmute this resistance into light, into my greatest light? I mean, and this is essentially what we are. We are light. And I think meeting the shadow and then being able to bring it into light, bring it into wholeness is really powerful in this process. So what if this is a gift? And if this is the gift, because I'm trusting that everything here in my life is for me and that I'm being led and guided by the divine, by the energy and the consciousness that's bigger than my mind, my logical mind, then I can have gratitude for that as well. So it's really just discharging it and then shifting it into expansion, rather than it being something that pulls us back and contracts us. Because I think it's that resistance. When people meet it, they think, I've got to stop. This isn't for me. It's like a stop sign on my path. Whereas I see it as actually, like, it's exciting. Yeah, it does.
I really love how you describe that, because we've talked on this podcast before about meaning and like where you're assigning the meaning. But I feel like you're also saying we can rename it. Like we can acknowledge it, feel it, experience it, but then not like it's an old paradigm to look at it and say, hey, resistance, you are fear, or you are a stop sign, or you are all these things. We can then rename it and see it, like you said, as a gift.
Yeah, and then you can get excited about it, and that shifts you onto a higher timeline in itself, because you're making a new choice, not from being a victim of that circumstance, but going, okay, if I trust that this is a gift. And you can even just saying that, you can feel the shift in your energy inside, and it's like you're allowing yourself to be led from that soul aspect of you rather than the ego aspect of you.
Yeah, you reminded me. I've started posting meditations on the app Insight Timer, and I received my first negative review, and I actually got really excited, and I was like, "Wow, I'm big enough to get a negative review!
Yes,
this is great!" And then I surprised myself. I was like, that's new. You must have grown, because in the past you would have definitely taken it personally, or been offended, or been sad, or something. But I was just so excited.
It's amazing, right? It's so great when we get that. And you're absolutely right. It's like that shows, right? That shows. And I think all of that is beautiful feedback. Like life is communicating with us all the time, and it's communicating us through our triggers. It's communicating through us through the conflict and through the resistance. Are you going to let it pull you under, or are you going to utilize that from an empowered place to go, okay, let's move through this, right? This is part of my growth. This is helping my becoming, which is then elevating me to a new destiny. So let's embrace it. I mean, it's, we've still got to meet the human emotions, but you find once you do meet them, they'll very quickly discharge.
Yeah, no, your energy is very inspiring. I appreciate that. So I wanted to ask you too, just to keep going on that thread, like, how do you then co-create, take the response and kind of move it into something that's forward and not just meeting what comes up? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How do you co-create with the divine?
Yeah. Okay. So first things first, and this will depend on, where you're at in your kind of spiritual journey, but the first thing that I teach is homecoming. I think that if we want to co-created divine, we're assuming that we have a relationship with the divine. So starting to really lean into that a little bit more, because I think in the manifestation world, a lot of the times we can get pulled up into the ego desires, into manifesting from an ego place. And really this new paradigm of manifestation, it's about coming home to an embodied place of soul alignment. What does that mean? That means connecting with the part of you that is infinite, that's been here before, that will be here again, right? That's beyond your name, that's beyond your role. And we can do that in many ways. You would teach it yourself in meditation, in acknowledgement, in, I do a lot of bringing people back into the resonance of their heart and out of their mind, because we're not going to co-create with the mind. And I think that's a really important distinction. Our mind doesn't know, right? Our mind is going to tell you that it knows. It wants to try and map it out and control and plan, but it doesn't. When we're co-creating with the divine, we're partnering with an energy and a force that moves through us. Our logical mind is not going to be able to capture what that is, right? And this is where we can meet that resistance. It gets a little bit scary because we're playing in the unknown. So what I teach then is like looking at what is it that you desire. Our desires are sacred. We can fall in love with our desires. I teach people how to really start to dance with their desires, because your desires are messages from your soul. And if you have a certain desire, which is something that's calling you forward, and it might even just be initially a desire for more, knowing there's something more for you, or it might be a specific desire, like I want to publish a book. To know that if that's for you and in your field, it is because you have the capacity to bring that to life. It's actually because you are already living that reality, okay? That's already a potential in the quantum field for you. So then it's about alignment, right? We come back into alignment with that, not through the force and the hustle and all of that. And I didn't even teach any of the kind of tools like visualization and scripting. They're great as a tool to bring you into alignment with your desires, to bring you into alignment with your essence. And from there, you start to ask the question of, okay, if this exists, if this timeline exists, if this potential of, let's say, me being an author, I need to start to embody, to connect with the identity of that being now, the version of me who's living that reality now. So how does she move? What does she feel like? How does she spend her day? So we start to occupy the embodiment of the version of us who's living that reality. And we send out a signal, and we create in the quantum field through our frequency, right? And our frequency is how we're feeling, what we're thinking, what we're believing, how we're moving about our day, how we're being. And when we can create a coherent signal that's really in alignment with not the ego desires, but those soul level desires, that's when we can really start to manifest very, very quickly. So I've found that embodiment evolution is really key in co-creating with the divine. And then of course we have to bring in surrender, right? Which is the letting go piece, the trusting that we're going to be shown. We need to act on also the impulses. And then we also need to know where we can let go and trust that we're going to be shown what our next move is. So that's in a nutshell how I work when supporting people to create.
That's amazing. And it makes so much sense, because I feel like I've heard that information in different ways, like you get what you are and not what you want, and kind of things. But this idea, the true embodiment makes it feel, let's see if I can articulate this, makes it feel, takes away that edge of desperation, like I feel like a lot of times when you create the vision board, or you say what you want, or you focus on what you're trying to manifest, there's this obvious heaviness of lack. And then if you're just focusing on, almost like, what is the other phrase you hear a lot, like happiness isn't a destination, it's a journey, or it's the way of being. So you're focusing on the way of being, and then that matches to the person that you want to be or are becoming.
Yeah. And a way to kind of understand this as well is that very often we think it's the thing that we want, right? Let's say it's a new house or a new car.
That's a really
we
good
think
point.
it's the thing that we
Shifting
want, that's going to bring us a certain level of happiness, fulfillment, and peace. So it's really important to know, why do you want that thing? Like, what is it going to bring you? So we reverse engineer the process rather than thinking that
So it is a reflection of you and not.
Correct. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. Like we manifest not from what we want, we can need, but what we're doing when we're in that want and need, we're sending out this signal of lack. I don't have this, therefore I want it. Now the universe is always going to mirror back our frequency. So if we're saying, I want this, we're sending out a signal of, I don't have this. The universe mirrors back and says, you don't have this. You want this. I'll give you what want. So to reverse engineer this, let's say it's the home that you want. Okay, like, how is that going to make you feel? I'll feel safe. I'll feel expansive. I'll feel peaceful. Like, we think it's the thing, but it's always the feeling that we're after. Right. But do you realize that you can cultivate, you have access to that feeling right now? What makes you feel peaceful right now? What makes you feel safe? What makes you feel expansive? Start to cultivate those feelings now, because as you do that, you're sending out that signal. The universe is going to match. It'll always match that signal. I'm going to bring you more of that, which helps you to feel safe, free, secure, whatever it is. So our feelings are magnetic, and this is why the embodiment piece and the becoming piece is really our greatest manifestation. Everything else is a byproduct of that.
Do you find it's helpful to have reminders? I find it so difficult not to slip into old paradigms. So is it just practice, like building the muscles of embodiment? Or do you have any tips for how to maintain that?
Yeah.
Frequency?
So I think it's both. It is definitely a practice. We have been so used to most of our life to be conditioned by the ego and led by our intellect in making choices that make logical sense. So if you've been in that paradigm, which majority of us have, it's in our conditioning, then this can feel really unfamiliar, and it can be very easy to slip back into old patterns. So a few things that you can do is, and I always find the most potent time to do this, because essentially what we're doing is we're reprogramming the subconscious mind. We're teaching our nervous system that it's safe to desire these things, that it's safe to have these things, that it's safe to expand. Most potent times are first thing in the morning and last thing at night before you go to bed, where our subconscious is more wide open and impressionable. And so if it's a particular goal that you have in mind, or use that, authoring a book or buying a house, and you've identified what the feeling piece is, you've started to identify who you're becoming, the woman or the man who has that, how they're feeling, tap back into that frequency right before you go to bed. What does that feel like? You can be affirming some statements. You can be really letting your heart feel those feelings. And then I do that first thing in the morning before you even open your eyes, come back into that connection. With my clients, when we're working one-to-one, if they need it, sometimes we will do little reminders. You can do little reminders of your phone to drop back into that frequency, so you can have these little alerts that go off, and you can just check, where am I at? It's interesting because we have these devices that we wear. We have these watches and things that will track your progress, your heart rate, or how many steps you're doing, or all of those kind of things. It'd be great if we had one that actually checks, like, you're in a state, like, are you dwelling in a feeling of happiness and expansion? And this isn't to say that we need to be high vibe all of the time. Or are you letting yourself getting pulled into the static and into the noise and into your programming, which is trying to pull you back into the past? It's trying to avoid, right, the present moment. But we know all power is in the present moment. So having those little alerts that bring you back into presence, where you can tap back into that inner state that is the one that's creating your reality, it can be really powerful as well.
I love that. And it's a nice reminder. My kids and I do like 3 questions at the end of the day when we're saying goodnight. And the last one is, what are you going to dream about? So this idea, but it's very visual. So I think tonight I might ask, like, somehow flip the question to feeling and tap into that emotion, because that seems even stronger and a lovely reminder that life is what we experience. It's not just what we want to see and enjoy, but that feeling piece. I appreciate that.
I mean, I love the visual as well. And visualization and imagination is powerful. It creates worlds. So whatever you're doing, you're programming, then you're programming yourself to go into that sleep. And we spend half our lives in sleep. So you may as well make the most of it, because it's incredible what can happen while we're sleeping.
Amen. I agree. Is there anything you would like to add? Or I've asked a lot of questions, but you have embodied manifestation teachings. I don't know if there's a specific program you'd like to tell us about.
Yeah, I mean, I have a membership platform where it's just called Soul Led and Magnetic, where I take people through these teachings, and also gives you a library of the different practices that can help you in your embodiment. So we'll use guided meditation or subliminal affirmations, which are ones that you can just have in your ear that's going and reprogramming your subconscious mind. And I actually am doing, depending on when this comes out, I've got a signature program called Soul Embodied Manifestation, which is the culmination of everything that I teach around this method, because I think it's, we're moving through a time where our embodiment has become more sacred, more needed, more important than ever before, particularly with the rise of AI and being able to kind of outsource a lot of the intellect in many ways. Like, our embodiment is how we are birthing through this new paradigm, or this new earth. And in terms of manifestation, it's really about coming back into that true alignment. I say a lot of the times it's that untethering or the unbecoming. We're not trying to create a whole new persona, but it's removing the layers of not self, or the layers of conditioning that are not in alignment with our true essence. And that's a lot of the work I do as well, so that we can reveal who you came here to be. And I think once you do that, manifestation happens on autopilot, because you are aligned with your highest expression and your highest timeline. So it's a really exciting time that we're moving through, and I love working with my clients to support them to do this, and they're having incredible results with that. It's really quite magical.
That's exciting and beautiful. And I just love the reminder. We often talk on this podcast about the difference between the being and the doing. And just another reminder that it's not just what you do. That's not where your value is. It's how you be, so who you are.
Yeah. I think that's a much bigger piece of the puzzle, really, is our being and is our embodiment, more so than our doing, for sure.
Wonderful. Well, where can listeners find you and follow your work?
So my website is thelightplace.com.au. On Instagram, I'm amy.abundanceclub. I've got a podcast called The Abundance Club, which is all about manifestation. I know you're going to come in on and be a guest on that.
Yes, and I've been listening to it and quite enjoying it.
Yeah, great. So that's a lot of these teachings. It's a spiritual podcast, so you're welcome to come and check me out over there. And yeah, just reach out if this spoke to you. I always love to connect. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. It's been a joy to be here.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I very much appreciate this conversation. Thank you for joining me on Intuitive Wisdom. If this episode brought you clarity or inspiration, please take a moment to leave a 5-star review. It truly helps others find this space. And if someone you love, you could use a shift in energy, share this episode with them. You never know what might resonate. For more, explore my frequency reset service, tune into more episodes, or begin the journey through my book, all at deliciousease.com. That's DELICIOUSEASE.com. All right, until next time, trust your energy, honor your space, and keep coming home to yourself.